Welcome to the Mindful Nomad podcast. I'm your host, Miguel Gutierrez. This podcast is an exploration into the world of creatives, community leaders, and entrepreneurs, taking a deep dive into their lives, focusing strongly on lifestyle, spirituality, mental health, and education. So grab a seat, relax, and join me for this exciting journey through conversations with other mindful nomads. Sweet, yeah, so welcome
on.
to episode of Mindful Nomads. We've got Tom
Nice
Davies.
one. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, welcome. It's your first podcast, I believe.
Yeah, it is.
Don't look nervous at all.
I need to just chill a little bit, don't I, now? I've been under pressure now, it started rolling.
I always start with do you want to give us a little bit of introduction about who you are and what you do? And...
So, as you said, my name's Tom Davies. I own Camper.
You almost forgot the name for a second.
Because it's changed about 4 times, that's why. Yeah, we've had a bit of a... we were Escape Campervan Conversions, and there's a company over in Compton over in the States, but believe it or not, that they got on to me and was like, look, we're called Escape Campervans, you need to change, blah, blah, blah. So we are now rebranded as Camper. Believe it or not, there's another company now challenging us for being called Camper, so, but I won't get into that just yet. But yeah, I'm just like a normal lad, I would like to think. Background is in engineering. I'm married, got 2 kids, 1 on the way actually. So it's...
You're from the glorious Skelmersdale.
Yeah, Skelmersdale, mate. Yeah, sunny Skem with the roundabouts.
So just tell us a little bit about your upbringing and stuff. And
yeah, I had a really good upbringing, to be honest, mate. Mum and dad still together. I've got a brother, older brother, younger sister, and an elder half sister from my dad's previous marriage. And yeah, it's just really, really normal, to be honest, mate. You know, my half fella's an engineer, so I said my background's in engineering. I used to work for him. And yeah, it was one of them. He worked really hard, he done well for himself, so, you know, had the privilege of living in a nice house with, you know, holidays a few times a year and that. So yeah, really good upbringing, to be honest.
And when you say engineering, because it's such a broad term, isn't it?
Yeah. It's welding, fabrication, you know, metal, steel work. So, you know, we do anything from steel work for buildings to, I don't know, like... one of our biggest customers was JC Deco. It's like an advertisement company, and we'd make like the advertisement boards and all that for them. So yeah, just a real mixed bag of engineering work. Yeah.
And was that something that you did literally straight from school?
No, to be honest, I wanted to be a joiner. When I left school, went into college to do joinery. So I was doing that for like 2 years. My uncle had an engineering firm as well, so then I went and worked so the college course was like 2.5 days a week. I went and worked for my uncle for the other 2.5 days a week, so I was doing a bit of joinery and engineering at the same time. After the college course finished, a similar thing, I sort of went and worked for my half fella and went and worked for this guy doing fitted bedrooms. So the work, this guy doing the fitted bedrooms, he was just sort of starting up, so he didn't have regular work, but it was a case of just like my half fella would let me go and work with him when he had work. But then it sort of come to a point in time my half fella needed me a bit more as I started progressing and becoming more skilled. The work weren't quite there with Steve, the other fella, so he you know, it just come to a point in time my half was like, look, you need to make a decision here, what do you want to do? And the money was in engineering at that point in time, so yeah, I took that route. Don't get me wrong, I do enjoy engineering, sheet metal work. But yeah, I think after a while, it's dirty work, you know what I mean? You're covered in crap, and it's just not that nice of a working environment. You know, it's dark, it's gloomy, you know, dirty, full of smoke, and you know, you're picking bits of metal out your nose when you get home at night. It's a bit grubby, but yeah, like I say, now that I'm doing camper vans, it's a bit more cleaner, just a bit more enjoyable, really. You know?
Yeah. So talk me through like how long did you do the engineering for?
So from when I left school, I was probably doing it for about 10 years maybe, something like that, from leaving school to about 26, something like that.
And that's when you decided to go
traveling? No, actually, I was, we went travelling in 2012, it was Christmas 2011, so we were there all 2012, went round Australia and all that, and I was still doing engineering then, sheet metal work and welding and all that, and then when we come back, I think I carried it on for about another 2 years, and it wasn't until we went on a trip to Iceland with, so it was me, Kaylee, our little lad Harry, he was only 6 months at the time, and our two mates who we met in Australia. We went to Iceland and met them. They live in Canada, so we met them there, hired a camper van, it was like a little 5-berth camper van, and we all got in it, done like a week or so travelling around Iceland, and then that's what sort of set it off with the thing with camper vans, you know what I mean, just that, I don't know, the feeling of like having that freedom when you're travelling, you know, you'd get to all these spots and like there'd be hordes of, you know, tourists turn up on the coaches, and then they'd be hauling them back to Reykjavik or wherever it was they were going, and you'd stay there and you'd have the whole, you know, you'd feel like you'd have the whole place to yourself, or, you know what I mean, but this particular camper van we were in, it was fucking awful, like, you know what I mean, in a place like Iceland, it had no insulation, you know, it was just like a steel fabricated bed frame, like bunk bed. So luckily me, Kaylee and Harry were in the bottom bunk, but in the top bunk we had our mates, and because of the cold and like the warm weather, there's like condensation gathering on the roof. Of a morning they're waking up like that, bloody drips of water dripping right on them. So yeah, it was terrible, and I think that's all, like, it was great but terrible, and I thought I can make vans better than this, you know what I mean. So then I always wanted to make one for myself. And it was, I think after Iceland I'd come back and I'd done maybe about another 12 months with my other fella, and then I was like, look, I need to do something different here, because the thing is as well with the thing with Knowsley Engineering, that's my other fella's company's name, Knowsley Engineering. The thing is with that, he was sort of saying to me and my brother, because my brother works there at the same time, like, look, this is yours when I retire, type of thing. But my half fella, he's shown no signs of wanting to retire now. He's still there now, you know what I mean. So I was like, look, I can't wait any longer. I want to run my own thing. I want something of my own. So I decided to leave, and I didn't actually leave to get straight into camper vans. It was more property. And I was getting into this thing with a couple of my mates. They've got a building firm, and we were going to buy this listed building, transform it into flats, and it had like a barn on it and this, that and the other. We were going to buy that, but because it was a listed building, it was just like, it was a pain in the arse. There's loads of hoops you had to jump through and this, that and the other. So I pulled out of that. But then I was leaving. It was like a month period where I was like, right, I'm leaving work in a month's time. What am I going to do here? Didn't really have time to go and buy my own house, because that's, you know, the whole process that probably takes 3 months at best. So I decided, well, I just got on eBay, bought a van, converted it and flipped it, and from that, the customer that I sold it to, he actually placed an order for another one. So then it just sort of snowballed from that, really. There was no sort of plan to, you know, set up building vans. It was just flip one and see how it goes, and then he came back home for another. Then, you know, someone else see me work and was like, oh yeah, I'll have one of them. And yeah, it just sort of snowballed. So it's a bit of a mad one, really, that it's got to where it has now. But yeah, I enjoy it though. It's good.
So you were saying earlier, when you went to Australia, it's kind of something changed. What did it? Because like I've experienced that. It's like you come back a different person. What do you think that turning point for you was?
Yeah, definitely Australia is the point in my life where, I don't know, you just come back with an appreciation for just the way, I think, appreciation for traveling and seeing new places and people, and I don't know, I always struggle to sort of put it into words, but it definitely does change you, you know what I mean? You see things differently, and especially being brought up in Skem, it's a very small town, you know what I mean? So you don't really see much of the outside world, you know what I mean? Once you get out there and you realise that there's so many different, you know, people and places to see, yeah, coming back to Skem was a bit like, I can't do that, you know what I mean? I need to do something a bit more. So coming back from Australia, we didn't actually do any other big trips like that, but since then, you know, we've travelled loads, and like I say, in the camper van, I mean, our Harry, he's only 6, and I think he's been to about 25 or 26 countries so far, you know what I mean? We've had them everywhere, so yeah, it's given us a bit of a appreciation for like nicer places, you know what I mean, and getting out there and seeing more places. And I think that's, you know, I work hard, and I think that's the thing that motivates me, is to be able to pay for these, you know, these trips and get out and see these places. But
what about the pay in Australia for engineers? I bet it was really good.
Oh mate, it's brilliant. Yeah, do you know what, yeah, it was great. So so when I was doing engineering, went back in 2012, before we went, it was like, I think I was probably on about £11 an hour, which wasn't bad back then, you know, for the level I was at. Went out there, mate, and it was like, I think it was like $36 an hour. You know, it's just unbelievable. And like some of the places that we go to as well, so especially in Perth, it was slightly more, you get slightly more for your hourly rate. And it was like, this place was working, it was like time and a half for the first 2 hours overtime, and anything after that was double time. So, you know, I was picking up like $70 odd an hour for a Saturday morning, and it was just like unbelievable as well. You'd start work, it was great because you'd start work at 6, finish at 2 because of the heat and that, you know what I mean? So you'd have plenty of the day left. You know, down the beach, Kaylee'd fill a cooler box up with all sausages, a few beers and that. I'd just drive down the beach, he'd meet me there. Oh mate, it's just, yeah, it's another...
Let's go back.
Yeah, definitely. I did, yeah.
I didn't quite have that lifestyle with the beach. I never went to the beach that much.
Really, yeah.
And I worked at Bondi Junction.
Oh, did you?
Of
Yeah.
all places, so like I was right by the beach, but just never got to go there.
Really, yeah. I don't know. No, yeah. It's, even like the parks and that, mate, it's just like them barbecues are great. You just walk up to them, press a button, throw your sausages on there, have a game of footy, and it's different lifestyle. It's great. I don't know whether I'd have ever stayed there. I don't know what was your opinion of it.
I wanted to when I was young, but I was 20 when I went there. So
yeah.
But I couldn't now. But I probably could when I'm older.
Yeah.
You know, like a retirement age.
I think for us, more so for Kaylee, I probably could have definitely stayed longer than what we did. But I think it's Kaylee, my wife, she's more family orientated than I am, and I'm very, very close to her family. I mean, I am with mine, but you know, I'll take it or leave it with my family a little bit, you know. But yeah, here I won't get on a plane. Like, will not fly. So it was the distance that sort of, you know, it was the deal breaker, you know what I mean, for staying longer.
It's far.
It is, yeah.
I've actually got a friend who worked as an engineer in Australia, and all he used to do was drive a 4x4 around the Australian outback and change warning signs on like pylons and stuff.
Really, yeah.
And he used to get like 15 grand a month. And he said they used to drive around because they're off-road. They'd just be like drinking beers on the road.
Yeah, brilliant, isn't it? Yeah, it's brilliant. You meet some characters out there, though. Did you meet any? Mate, I remember this one lad, right? He met him in a hostel and he just bought a car, and he was like, I'm just filling the car up with like gallons and gallons of water, and he said, I'm just going to drive into the outback and stay in the outback for like a month or so. It's like, mate, that's insane, that. You know, he's driving into the middle of nowhere by yourself. Like,
the worst idea ever.
Yeah, I couldn't think of anything worse. Like, but yeah, some people doing some mad stuff out there, isn't it?
I bought a 1984 Corolla Estate, and because I bought it and it was on Queensland plates, I took it to get what they call like a blue, I think it's called a blue red, or it's like not the MOT, but where you have to swap the plates over. And the mechanic was just like, this is not roadworthy at all. Like, if you want to pay to get this fixed, it's going to cost you about $3,000. And I just paid like $2,000 for the car. So I was like, oh, that's not happening. So I had 2 days to drive it to Queensland to then change the plates, like, because you didn't have to do the testing or whatever. So I drove all the way to, like, I don't know, somewhere near the top, all the way there and all the way back on this 1984 with bald tires, no brakes and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've got a what car was it that I bought? It's a Daewoo Lanos. Remember, see any of them? Like, it's just similar to like a little what do they call it? Like the Corsa. It's like a Corsa. Yeah. I bought that. I think I paid about £1,200 for it. Spent a load of money on it because I had a leaking radiator and all that. I've not really clued up with mechanical side of things, but because we were sort of doing it on a shoestring, I just Googled it, YouTubed it, had a go, sorted it all out. So I think it probably cost me about £1,500. We were living with our mates and we were leaving, you know what I mean? So I was like, I'll sell you this car to me mate. Sold it to him for about half price, so £600 or something I gave it to him for. And then about 2 months later, they were leaving, and he was like, that rang me, he was like laughing his head off, going, mate, I've just sold your car for $2,000 there. So I'd give him a deal, and he's made about £800 on me or something. Cars
are expensive there as well.
Yeah.
Really expensive. Yeah. I remember I sold that car on eBay for $1,500. The guy flew from Darwin to pick it up, to drive it back, and he messaged me the next day and said, this car's not roadworthy. And I was like, I wrote sold as seen, like it's like it needs its testing done. And he was like, I'm gonna sue you. And I was like, I've left the country. And he was like, all right, have a safe journey.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah, it was not fit for purpose, that car at all. So talk me through like how the campervan business kind of took off and how it kind of grew.
Yeah, do you know what? Yeah, it's probably there's probably a big fly there. Instagram probably gave it its push, you know what I mean? I was never really a social media person. When we were in Australia and all that, like I never had any social media. I was never really keen on it. But then starting the business and starting the campervan thing, I thought, it's sort of, you've got to, you know what I mean? It's sort of, I think this day and age, running a business, you've got to be on social media with it. And yeah, I think the whole van life thing, I mean, you'll know yourself, won't you, building your own van. It's sort of become more and more popular now. So yeah, I put a bit of effort into trying to learn what works on Instagram, and you know how people gain all these followers and this, that and the other. I'm still learning now, like, so I'm not there yet, but yeah, it was more the Instagram. Once I started posting pictures, videos, you know, the sort of word got out. And
at that time though, were you just taking on small projects, or were you doing like,
yeah, I mean,
you were by yourself, right?
Yeah, so I started off by myself. Actually, funny story where I started off, actually. So I didn't have a premises to work from, and round the back of me Alfellas unit where that is on Pimbo and Skem, one of my mates had a little unit. He was doing like precision engineering, sort of milling and things like that. And he hadn't been in there long, but the landlord had gave him keys to 2 units, like one next door to each other. But he still had the keys to this other unit that he didn't move into. So he was like, get in there if you want. So I was like, sound alright. So I bought this van, just parked it in this unit, and for about a month no one ever came knocking or anything like that, you know what I mean? So I just basically bunked into this unit free of charge. Pretty much finished this van, the first van I did, in this unit, and then the landlord came over and he was like, what are you doing in here? I was like, just sort of had to make up a bit of a blag. I've just come in here for Dan's just given me the keys to come in here while it was raining or something like that. Blagged him, and he was like, right, all right, Sam, we're lucky you're gonna have to get out. But luckily the van was almost finished. So yeah, I got the first one made in this unit that I just bunked into. After that, someone else put me onto the unit in Bickerstaff, that was our second place, first official place. Like, we moved into there. That was just like an old barn, but I could only get one van in there. So it's just like literally a bay for one van, a little bit of space for a workbench, and that was it. I think I made about 10 vans out of there by myself, and then started getting a little bit more busy. More inquiries were coming through, mostly through Instagram. So I took on another person, sort of getting through them a bit quicker. And like I say, the more we'd done, the better we got. You know, the more following we got, the more inquiries came through, and it just sort of like, you know, picked up momentum. Yeah, but like I say, I think, you know, don't we? We've moved premises again now to a bigger shop. We can now get 3 vans in there, a few more lads with us. So yeah, it's picking up now. We're right on the main road as well, so we're getting loads of walk-ins now. You know, loads of foot traffic as well. So yeah, it's going well.
How, in terms of like, obviously when you start like building a van, whether you're handy or not, there's going to be so many obstacles where you're probably watching other people's YouTube videos to learn how to do stuff.
Oh yeah, at the start, you mean?
Yeah.
Bloody hell, mate. YouTube was like the go-to. It was like the Bible, you know what I mean? It was like every night just going into rabbit holes on electrical system, plumbing. It is a bit of a minefield, you know what I mean? You're watching stuff and you don't know whether the person who's made this video knows what they're talking about, so you sort of have to take everything with a pinch of salt, you know what I mean? And because a lot of the videos out there, people are just DIYers, you know what I mean? So yeah, there's definitely been a lot of learning curves in the journey I've been on. But I've also found a lot of people out there who do know what they're talking about, who sort of go to. I think I might have even put you onto the guy Tom at Tiny Build Electrics. Did you?
Oh yeah.
So he's been a godsend, because the electrical side of things is probably the most important, to make sure that it's spec'd right, because that's where
he maps it out for you, doesn't
he? Yeah. So if there's any accidents, any fires, 9 times out of 10 it's going to come from, you know, the electrical system or the gas system. So he's been great in terms of having him to sort of, you know what I mean, he knows everything, so I can just go to him, Tom, what's the score with this, am I doing this right, and he'll spec all the wire size and everything. So he's been a massive help in us being above board when it comes to the electrical system. And there's a few other people out there, loads of people doing great vans and that. That's what it is. You just sort of like, once you sort of get into that, the van life community, as they call it, it is good in terms of like everyone's sort of willing to help each other, you know what I mean? So I don't see, there's a lot of other people out there building vans similar to the way that I build them, but I don't really see them as competition, you know what I mean? A lot of them will sort of like, oh, that's good, and offer advice, and you know what I mean? Sort of everyone's quite supportive of each other, you know what I mean? It's like, it is good, to be honest. It's nice that people don't see it as competition, you know what I mean? They're sort of cheering you on, like other van builders. I mean, I've got a few vans up for sale, and a few of them have like posted them for me, you know what I mean? And sort of trying to get my vans out there to their followers and help me get the sales in, you know what I mean? So it's refreshing.
Well, it's got to be helpful that like obviously your vans are up to like a certain standard in terms of how they're finished and they look.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that you did joinery and welding and fabrication, because all that stuff is just probably helped you massively. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, I mean, all the skills in engineering, it's transferable. You know, it's just, I think the main thing, if you can read the tape measure well, you know, and mark out accurately, I think that's the main thing. And don't get me wrong, there is other aspects to it, like, but.
No, I've noted that down now. That's all I need.
No, it's it's just taking your time, forward thinking, you know. Because with building vans, there's so many. I don't know. It's maybe because it's such a small space, but you're putting so much in that small space that every one thing that you do could sort of interfere with the next thing that you're doing, you know what I mean? So you got to think about where the wires are going, you know, is that door gonna interfere with the seat spinning, or, you know what I mean? And so there is a lot to think about, but yeah, I think using your tape measure right is the main thing.
The thing I like about your vans though is that they pretty much utilize every space that's available within the van, because the layout, because you sell like layouts now rather.
Yeah, we've got a sort of standard layout of ours, or the signature model as we're calling it. Yeah, it's that you're talking about, that one with the shower tray down the side. Yeah. Again, that sort of just snowboard. A customer sort of came on to us and was like, look, I want the shower tray there with the bed there. We made our own custom shower tray, and then since posting that van, I mean, it went mad on like Pinterest and the social media platforms, and loads of people just sort of, I want that one. So we never set out like, this is our model. It's just because a lot of people liked that particular model, and they kept coming back for it. So yeah, we've just built 3 of those models, and yeah, like I say, it does utilise the space well.
How do people sleep? Well, they're quite close together, I guess, but
yeah,
it's comfortable because it's long ways. Like,
yeah, the bed's lengthways. I mean, that's probably the only downside, or it's the thing that get criticised the most on with that particular layout. It's like I say, the bed's not a full size double. It's narrow. I think it's about 3/4 of a double bed. So, like I say, it's not for everyone.
Yeah, I prefer that to them not being able to stretch out. Yeah. I have that problem now because I sleep sideways, and it's a Sprinter. Nice. Yeah, so I'm like not that tall, but my feet are just touching the wall now. Yeah. And like, I wake myself up in the night because I can't stretch out. So I'm like lying sideways.
Put a window in, lad, so you can put your feet out the window.
I've actually got a window. I just stick my feet out. Imagine that. I'm sleeping with like my feet over the kitchen part.
Yeah. That's it though, innit? You know, they are small spaces, so there's always going to be some compromise. You're not going to get a full size bed, a full shower, toilet, cubicle, a full kitchen. There's always going to be a compromise in a van, so it is what it is, innit?
Who was the first customer who got that layout? Was it the Dragon? No,
he didn't have that layout. It was a customer of mine. It was a woman, English woman, but she was living in Istanbul at the time, and she was moving back home, but she didn't want to get a house, so she sort of said, I want to live in a van full time. And she sort of, I think she had 3 kids, all lived within 10 or 20 miles of each other, so she was sort of like living on their drive for 1 week, you know what I mean, and just going between the 3. But yeah, she was a single woman later on in life. She was probably about 60, and then she ended up getting a dog as well, so just dating a dog. But yeah, I think she's still living in it now. Like the last I seen of her, happy, still going. Yeah. And
what would you in terms of like starting the business, what would you say some of the biggest struggles have been, if any? I'm sure you've got loads.
Mate, yeah. So where to start? Do you know what, mate? For me personally, because these vans, it's probably finding the right employees for me. That's, and sort of going from me building the vans to then having to delegate that work to others. Because of, I build them in a certain style, and I want them done in a certain way. It's finding the people who are skilled enough to, I say skilled enough is probably not the right word, that it's probably on me for how do I
OCD enough.
Yeah, probably is a little bit like that, you know what I mean? But I struggle with, because it's not like I haven't spent the time in like putting everything in like a CAD drawing where I can go, yeah, here's the drawing, go and build that and get on with it. So I'm still sort of having to oversee it and micromanage a little bit, you know what I mean? It's probably my fault more than the employee. It definitely is, but yeah, I struggle with that. That's because it's building camper vans. If it was just building, and you gotta join it in, 9 times out of 10 the joiner knows how to put door frames, skirting, stud walls. It's all standard stuff. With camper vans, there isn't, a huge pool of people who've built camper vans before, so you'll get a joiner in, but then you'll have to like sort of still school them, teach them, how to do it in a van, you know what I mean? So I feel like that's probably the hardest part for me. A bit of a a bit of a realisation when I first left engineering and I was going into I thought, I'll be my own boss, I'll have loads more time on my hands, you know what I mean? But you quickly realise that you're working for yourself, mate. It's not you just have to put some ridiculous hours in, so that's been tough when you're putting so many hours in and you don't quite see that return. Don't get me wrong, we get by, and we've got by since we started the camper van company. But yeah, Kaylee's definitely had to do the lion's share of raising the kids and that, and the housework. But it is what it is. It's just, I do enjoy, I don't shy away from hard work. So yeah, I think, as I said, the hardest part is the employee side of things. It's been like a bit of a revolving door with employees, to be honest. We sort of had the first lad I had, he was with us for like 18 months, then he just sort of disappeared at the drop of a hat. Someone else in, then he left, you know what I mean? It's been like that now for a while. We've got Mike now, he's the main guy on the shop floor, and he's great. He was sort of like at a good stage when we took him on, because he was sort of like, he'd worked with a few of my mates actually doing joinery, doing the ghetto golf. He used to build the sets for them, so he learned a lot of good skills doing that. Then he went and worked on site with another really good joiner for 12 or 18 months, learned a lot with him, and then he's come to us, so he's got great skills.
It's not just the standard stud work.
Yeah, but also he's not like too far progressed where he's set in his ways. So he's been really good to us actually, having him on board. But yeah, it's just like I say, he's still got a lot to learn in terms of like the camper van type of stuff,
Yeah. How do you see kind of the business progressing over the next few years? People probably look at you and go, "Oh, he's charging this much for a van. Like he must be minted." That's the perception, I guess.
Yeah, definitely think I'm minted. Yeah, no, I'm definitely not though. Not yet, anyway. Yeah, it's I mean, the end game for camper. I'll say the end game is sort of when we first set up like I say with the rental thing. I wanted to create a business that with the engineering thing, when I left there, I wanted to create a business that didn't need me there 24/7. It couldn't be any further from that at the moment, but that's what we're sort of aiming for. So we're going to be getting set up with rentals pretty soon. Probably within the next 12 months, hopefully be set up for next spring. And the thing with rentals, it's more scalable than what we're doing at the moment. We've just at the moment, so it's like 95% of the way there with our website, where we're selling products and all that now. So we're offering like an e-commerce side to the business. And basically I want to just be like a one-stop shop for everything, you know what I mean? So I want to sort of sell to every part of every, how do I say this?
Consumers and professional.
Yeah. So you've obviously got your people who can afford the high-end conversions, and we're sort of catering for them at the moment. In the conversions that we're doing, I want to sell parts to people who are doing it themselves. I've got plans to do like a course to teach the DIYers how to build the vans themselves. So I want to sort of offer a service to the ones who want to buy it off the shelf, the ones who want to rent a van, the ones who want to build them themselves. I sort of want to cater to everyone. Now it's obviously a slow burner trying to get there, but yeah, I'm slowly chipping away at it, and like I say, this website with the e-commerce side of things is almost up and running now. So hopefully that'll sort of start generating a bit of revenue pretty soon.
Have you seen things change a lot with the Instagram growth? Because I remember, like, I swear, like, I checked and one day you were on 26k and then the next minute you were like 129 or something.
Yeah, do you know what? I don't know what it was. One day I just came in and I was like, right, I'm going to post a reel every single day. I think I'd had like a bit of I'd been filming stuff and I just hadn't got round to posting it, you know what I mean? So I had sort of like a file in my phone of loads of like footage and pictures and all that, and I thought, there's loads of stuff there that I can just post, you know what I mean? I thought I want to make a point of posting once a day at least. And I'd done it for about 30 days, 35 days, and yeah, it absolutely went ballistic. It's like 4,000 followers I was gaining it some days, you know, just in one day. I was like, oh, this is crazy. So yeah, it did. It went from like 25 to 30,000 followers up to 110, 120,000, which is great.
Did it enhance the business, or in terms of like inquiries?
Yeah, definitely with inquiries, yeah.
I bet you get loads of time wasters as well, though.
Yeah, loads of tire kickers and that, you know what I mean? And it's one of them, because we were in that small unit, we can only get one van in. It was a bit of like a pain in the ass as well. So you're getting all these inquiries, we can't do anything with them because we're just in this little small unit, you know. And as well, like with COVID and all that, so pre-COVID, we were sort of like booking people in for like 12, 24 months in advance. So, you know, we'd sort of have the year planned out with conversions. But then with COVID and all that, and like the Brexit and the price of materials, so you couldn't really, or didn't feel comfortable quoting stuff and saying, oh yeah, we'll book you in 12 months time, because the price of materials was just going up and down that much. You know, plywood, you couldn't get it because, you know, something to do with like the Brexit and the thing with Russia. So everything just went ballistic. And, you know, if I quoted X amount for a conversion and the material price has gone up, you know, doubled, then, you know what I mean, it's hard to go back to the customer, oh yeah, that price I gave you there, forget that, it's gone up by, you know,
10 grand.
Yeah. So we just sort of started, you know, just trying to only book things in for about 6 months in advance. So that's where we're at the moment.
I think a lot of people go on Instagram, Pinterest, and like fantasize about this van life stuff, don't they?
Yeah.
That's why I think a lot of the videos go so viral, because they're like, oh, I wish I could do that, or
yeah, defo. Yeah, there's loads of that sort of, oh my god, that looks great. But there's a downside to it, don't get me wrong, you know what I mean? Like everything, it's not always what it seems on Instagram, and it probably goes for everything, you know what I mean? Everything you look at on Instagram. You know, emptying the toilets and that, you know, it's got to be one of the worst parts of it, hasn't it? You know, shitting in a fucking container and having to empty it down a toilet or whatever. It's not glamorous at all, but you see that picture with the back doors of the van open on the beach, and it's like, oh yeah, I'd love to do that. Yeah, 10 minutes later he's like that, looking at a bucket of shit down a bog, you know what I mean? It's not all glamorous, but like I say, it is a great way of travelling, and we've done quite a bit of it now in our own van with our little lad Harry. Like I said before, he's been to about 26 different countries now, and
is that around Europe and stuff?
Yeah, Europe and further afield as well. You know, he's been, you know, New York a few times, Canada.
In the van?
No.
Imagine that.
Yeah, he's been Marrakesh. Yeah, he's been all sorts of different places, but yeah, a lot of it was in the van. And it was a great way to travel, especially with kids, you know what I mean? I think that's why we sort of fell in love with it even more so, is because I mean, you haven't got kids, have you? But you know, it's hard work travelling with kids. I mean, we've been really lucky with our Harry, because he's really good at travelling as well. You know, he'll just take it all in the stride. He's not really a whingy kid, and you can sort of go anywhere with him, and he's happy just being with us. But having the van there, you know, doing these long journeys, he's like, need a poo or whatever, and you just pull over to the side of the road, throw him in the back of the van, get back on the road within 5 minutes. Or, you know, if he's tired, whatever, just pull over, or if we're tired, pull over, get your head down somewhere. And, you know, it's one thing that I do love about the camper van travel as well is you end up in these places that you'd never ever go to, or if you weren't in a van. You know, there was this one place we were travelling through France to get to Switzerland, and we'd run out of fuel. It was late at night. Our Harry was asleep, and he was like, right, we'll put in the sat nav, get to this fuel station. Fuel station weren't there. The sat nav had, you know, stitched us up. So then we were like, right, we'll go to the next one. Went to the next one, it was closed. Like, fucking hell, like, we're on fumes here now. Kaylee put the third one in. It was like midnight, you know, in the middle of nowhere in France. We like, this better be open now. Got there, it was closed actually, but it had one of them pay at the pump things, yeah. So we were able to actually fill up. We were like, oh, thank God for that. Just find the nearest place to Kip. We had this app, Park for Night it's called. So we just put the nearest one in, went and parked there, woke up the following day not knowing where we were or what the place looked like. And mate, it was just like the most picturesque little village you'd ever seen. Little church perched up on the top of the hill, you know, little patisserie, is that what they're called? Patisseries, like the little bakery. Yeah. Oh mate, it was just brilliant. And then the kid, our Harry got out, had a little play and that, you know what I mean? It's just like, you'd never ever come here in your life, you know what I mean? But because you're in the van, you sort of end up on these roads and you drive through these villages and that, and it's
were you just in a car park?
Yeah, so it's pretty much, that's all it was. Yeah, it's like, so on this Park for Night app, it gives you all like car parks, campsites, picnic spots and all that, and you basically just see it on the map, click it once, it'll bring up like reviews, pictures and this, that and the other. If you want to go there, click it again, and your Google Maps will open, it'll take you straight there. So it's great. That's another thing as well. It probably changed a lot from back in the day when you had to do everything with maps and
the A to Z.
Yeah. Probably
remember the arguments in cars with them with the maps.
It probably wouldn't be as enjoyable if you had to do it that way. You know what I mean? But definitely with the help of technology and all that now, it's made it a lot easier. So yeah, that Park for Night, if anyone's gonna do van life and travel in a camper van, definitely recommend that. Like, I think I
downloaded it when I went down to the Cotswolds, because there's some paid ones on there too. Yeah. Ones,
so it's how you're all like the paid car parks, ones that are paid but you can stay there overnight, ones that you can't, and it's good. Like, you know, it's even like in the cities, and it works all over Europe. You know, finding just a car park in the city that your van, because I think you can put in the size of your van as well, so it'll eliminate all the low level ones and, you know, show you all the ones that you can park and save you loads of time.
I ended up staying in an equestrian centre in there. Like, they were closed, they had a field but it wasn't opening for like another week or so, I ended up staying just in their car park and just like transferring them the money. But there's like pubs and stuff that let you stay in the car park, don't they? Yeah, and you just buy some drinks or whatever.
Yeah, there's quite a few. There's a few around there. Actually, you just, you know, if you go there, buy a meal and a pint or whatever, they'll let you kip in the car park. One of the best ones we stayed at was in Bellagio in Italy. It just reminded me of it there. I was saying a question. It was like an old horse ranch. Oh mate, it was just incredible. Perched up on the top of this hill, overlooking the whole of Bellagio. Mate, it was just like something off out of a magazine or something, like a travel magazine or something like that. I mean, it was brilliant. It was about 20 quid a night, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, it's brilliant.
Is that where the name for the casino comes from then?
Yeah, so, yeah.
I didn't think it was a real place.
Yeah. Is it Lake Como?
Okay.
Lake Como or Lake Garden? No, Como it is, yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
I think about going to Europe with the van, but I get a bit nervous because it's an older van.
You'd be sad. Got AA covered, haven't you?
I couldn't think of anything worse than like stopping with like the two dogs and just like the stress of that.
Do you know what, mate? I see a lot, not a lot, but I see from time to time on Instagram, and you know, some of the people who follow the full-time van life is when things go wrong, and it must be a ball like, but
I saw some that I was watching these YouTubers, this couple, these two girls, and they broke down somewhere, and like the whole van, because a new van as well, and like something drastic happened in the van, and they had to like, get a hire car and drive back in a hire car with the dogs to England. I was like, I just couldn't think of anything worse. And then they left the van there and it came back on a trailer.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah, puts me off.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm sure you've had some stinkers when you've been travelling anyway.
That's true.
In other ways, haven't you? So you just gotta sort of go for it, haven't you? I think. Take the risk.
So obviously it sounds like you work a lot. You work very hard. I know what it's like doing like any kind of manual labour. At the end of the day, you just absolutely battered on you. What do you do for yourself outside of that kind of balances that out, if anything?
The thing that just getting outside for me, you know what I mean? I really struggle if I've got nothing to do, me, you know what I mean? It's like, it frustrates me. So if like the weekend comes and I get up and we haven't got any plans to go out somewhere, or you know, or do something, or I haven't got any sort of purpose, I start pulling my hair out, you know what I mean? It's just, it gets to me. So yeah, I've started, if I'm at home, I've started like doing a bit of gardening and that, and we've got chickens now, so like I'll keep myself busy by sort of trying to, I'm crap at it, like I can't grow anything. Everything I've tried to grow in the garden has just went to shit. But yeah, just doing anything that's outdoors really. Our sort of go-to place if we've got a weekend for it is get up to the Lake District, you know, with the family, or even Wales. I like doing, you know, walking. I'm into me carp fishing a little bit. Don't go as often as I used to do these days, like, but yeah, just anything that sort of gets me out really, you know what I mean? It's just, I think there's you know, it's medicine, innit? Getting out in nature and that. Yeah. It's yeah, the lakes is the one for us. Like, I definitely think I'll retire up there when I'm older. Like,
it's not that far either. It's only
what, me retirement?
No, yeah, that too.
So.
No, the lakes is only an hour and a half.
Yeah, an hour and a half. Well, to be honest though, we went up there last weekend. 4 hours it took us to get there. Bank holiday week. I think bank holiday weekend, half term. The kids, that M6 mate is just a nightmare. It's like, yeah, 4 hours. But sound when you get there though, innit?
Van life.
Yeah. The weather was great as well. So we got in, had a swim with our Harry. He loves it as well, you know. So get him up a few of the mountains and that. He's done cat bells when he was 5, you know what I mean? So he's got a set of legs on him, our Harry. Like he likes to. He's the same. Just loves being outside doing, you know.
Boss life for a kid as well.
Yeah. I think it's just what you know, for our generation, I think getting outside was the norm, weren't it? But I think these younger ones now, it's not so normal. They're all sitting inside on the games, but it's sort of making an effort to get him outside as much as I can. And yeah, he loves it. Like I say, even with going back to taking him out travelling in the van, just when you stop, just go and have a little play, you know what I mean? Yeah, just entertains. He's good at entertaining himself, you know what I mean? Doesn't really need us to be like, do something with me or play this or play that. But yeah. Sounds
like the perfect kid.
Do you know what, mate? Do you know what? He is. Yeah, he's being absolutely great. Got another one now, like Joseph. He does need attention 24/7, like. But they're both great. Like I say, they're great together as well, like. But yeah, probably got the mum to thank for that.
So this podcast also, I guess we always dive into like people's experiences with mental health. And have you had any kind of like run-ins yourself, or?
Do you know what, mate? I think I've been pretty lucky in my. Don't get me wrong, I've had shit happen to me and to people close to me, but I've been lucky in the sense that I haven't really been affected with, you know what I mean? I seem to handle things pretty well, mate, and I think it probably is a lot to do with me keeping busy, you know what I mean? And
I was about to say, it's probably distracting
yeah,
yourself constantly.
it definitely is, mate. I don't know, it's like I say, that I definitely had shit happen in my life, and to people close to me, but I think I've got this bit of a perspective on, like, you know, if you zoom out on your life, if you could sort of like zoom out and look at the whole picture, these little things that happen, they're just blips, you know what I mean? So I'm not trying to dwell too much on them and trying to, you know, think about them too much and just crack on, you know what I mean? It is what it is, and, you know, everyone has ups and downs in life, don't they? And, you know, I'll have my share of them. I've had ups and downs, you know, and it's just one of them for me. You just got to get on with it, you know what I mean? Life's good, innit? You know what I mean? It's, for me, I sort of say to Kaylee, you know, she does dwell on things a bit much, and I say, look, life's good, you know what I mean? We've got, yeah, shit happens, and we've got this on your plate, or you got that on your plate, but it's good though, innit? You know what I mean? It's sometimes nice to, not to say nice, it's sometimes good to have these low moments, because, you know, the lows make the highs a lot better, you know what I mean? And I always find, for me, I can always find a silver lining in any bad situation, you know what I mean? It's like, always look for the positive in any bad situation. I think that's just, personally, it's just being a bit of, you know, lucky in that respect. I spoke to other mates of mine and, like, talked about mental health with them, and when I've sort of said things like this, then, you know, I mean, one I was like, oh, he sort of looked at me like that and said, you never, like, sort of struggled with anything. And it's like, you know, I get sad, and, you know what I mean, but then it's just like, oh, I'm sad, but then tomorrow I get up to a new day, innit? You go to work, you do what you got to do, you got the kids, and you crack on, you know what I mean? I just find it, yeah, I've never really dwelled on negatives in my life, you know what I mean? I always try and focus on the positive things and find the positives out of any bad situation that you're in.
Nice. What are the positives from emptying a bucket of shit out the back of the van?
Well, it's empty then, so you've got a nice bog to go and have a shite in afterwards. No, yeah, I say there's, I'm sure, you know, everyone in life is going to have ups and downs, aren't they? You know what I mean? I'm sure you've had plenty yourself, and anyone who listens to this has probably had them themselves. It's just, for me, it's how you respond to it. You know what I mean? It's just, you can sit around and cry about it and just overthink it, but, you know, not changing anything, is it? You know, you've got sort of face it head on, get on with it, you know what I mean, and just try and make the best out of a situation.
I feel like I'm sat with Buddha.
Yeah, look, I know that it's I don't know whether it's just that I haven't had enough shit thrown at me. I don't know, maybe, you know, toss me again in 5 years time, I might be.
I think it's a good outlook to have, and I think a lot of people kind of share that kind of mindset.
Do you know what I think as well, though? I think it's a little bit, I do get with the whole mental health thing, and like how it's rife at the moment, and people saying, look, you need to speak, and this, that and the other. And I get it, you know what I mean? I think it's definitely true for a lot of people, but I think for me, a lot of the time I don't really feel like speaking. I don't want to speak about it, you know what I mean? So I think it's a bit of a, I don't like, so for instance, me Kaylee's mum, she's, you know, always one for talk about you know, a problem shared is a problem halved, she always says. And yeah, I do get it, it's definitely right for a lot of people, but majority of the time for me, it's just like, I don't want to talk about it, you know what I mean?
Everyone's different though.
Yeah.
I'm similar to you in the sense that, like, if there's something on my mind, usually I just let it sit and digest and be busy, think about it, and by the time I've thought about it enough, it's dissipated, and it's not a problem anymore.
Some people can keep it in and process that, you know, process it by themselves. For me, you know what I mean, when I have had shit on my plate, just putting a bit of music on, being by myself for a bit, and you know what I mean, so just chilling and trying to just relax and process the thoughts and the feelings myself. It just is enough, you know what I mean. I don't feel I always need to speak to someone. I can't, and I do speak to Kaylee, obviously, she, when I need to, but
you got the option though. That's the important thing, you know what I mean. It's like you're able to talk to someone if you really want to, and some people don't want to. So
what do you reckon about like do you think that like because mental health is so openly spoken about these days that it creates more
I don't think it creates more mental health. I just think it gives it more awareness. So I think people start to feel more comfortable about talking about it. I feel like there's a lot of people jumping on the bandwagon, like whether it's companies or this or that, to kind of use it as a trend.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, it's also allowing, we talk a lot about men like acknowledging their problems, and that was the first thing for me in terms of like dealing with my own mental health issues, was just the acknowledgement. That's like the first step. But like you say, like some people don't want to deal with it, and like there's times when I do want to go to and talk to someone about it. There's times when I just want to let it sit. And
I for me personally, I mean, this is just my own opinion on it, is I do feel like that because it's talked about so much, that it's creating more, people, I have a bad day, but I'm not depressed. But I think that people have like a bad day now, they think, fucking hell, I'm depressed here. At the age of like, I didn't know what depression was until I was like, probably a young adult, late teens, young adults. But now we're like, Harry's like 6 or 7. I hear some of his mates talking about being anxious. And I'm like, mate, you're 6. How the fuck do you know what anxious is? You know what I mean? Like, and I think because they talk about it in the schools and that, you know what I mean? Or if you're anxious, if you're sad and this, that, and the other. I'm like, they're too young to even know what that is, and I do get it. Like, there is kids who are suffering with mental health and they need it, but I also feel like, if a kid is having a bad day and now they know what depression is, and you go, am I depressed? And then the following day they wake up and they're not feeling 100% again, or I'm depressed, and then it makes them more depressed. And I don't know, that's just,
I know what you mean though. It's like
a bit of a catch-22 on
it's
it,
like
a little bit.
That experiment with the monkeys. Did you remember that one? Where I can't remember like I'm probably quoting this extremely badly, but there's an experiment they did with these monkeys where they got one monkey to do one thing, and then every day they let another monkey into like the cage, and by the time that first monkey had left, the others were still doing it because they thought they had to do it. I forget what you can do it in different ways, but it's like once someone thinks they have to do something, it just catches on, if that makes sense.
I think is it similar to that one where they put people in a room and every time like a light came on, they stood up. So it is similar to that, isn't it?
But yeah, and I agree with you in terms of it's not good for kids. I think a kid should be allowed to feel however they want to feel, but like, of course you're gonna get anxiety. Having anxious moments is not the same as having anxiety. You know what I mean? When I'm like waking up with it every single day, like a crippling anxiety, then I've got anxiety. If I get anxious because I'm nervous about something, then that's fine. Do you know what I mean?
And that's what I think I think that's what I'm trying to say in a roundabout way, is that I think some people having an anxious, feeling anxious and then thinking they're suffering from anxiety, when actually it's just anxiety is a normal feeling. You know what I mean? And everyone experiences it. It's just sort of I think a lot of people these days want to label themselves with something. You know what I mean? You wake up and you feel a little thing, oh, I'm depressed.
But that's the thing, though. The symptoms for being sad and the symptoms for being depressed are pretty much the same thing. If you explained it vocally, so I agree with you 100%. That someone may feel sad, and if they're a kid, someone says, "Oh, there's the symptoms for depression.
Yeah, it's
Here's some antidepressants."
yeah, I know.
You don't want to mess about with the kids' chemicals in the brain, you know.
It's mad, isn't it? What do you think what do you think the solution, or what else you for keeping sane?
I think I've talked about this before, but it's not linear for me. So like I realize that I can't just make it go away. Yeah. I'm gonna have probably issues come up in my life as long as I've got a stressful business life where I'm doing stuff constantly. And I think it's learning how to deal with it and learning more about myself as I go along. So there's like going to the gym massively helps. Getting out with the dog for an hour a day massively helps. Yeah. I know that I'm still going to be anxious when I wake up in the morning, but I know it's not the end of the world because I've got the rest of the day to get rid of that. Do you know what I mean?
Around, yeah.
Because it's like you say, there's a silver lining to every situation, and you know, there's moments where if you say that to a depressed person, like properly depressed, like I've been, you'd like, shut up.
Yeah, I probably have all sorts of people coming at me now when I hear,
fuck you.
Who's that fucking Tom Davies? He doesn't know what the fuck
just be happy. By Tom Davies. Just be happier. Be happier.
No, do you know what though, mate? I think a lot of I think people having a purpose is, you know, it's got a lot to answer for in terms of like people feeling sad. You know, personally for me, like I said before, if I've got nothing to do, I've got no direction, even just for that tiny, you know, on a Saturday morning if I'm not in work, if I've got no direction or don't know what I'm doing with the day, that's when I start getting like, oh, what am I doing? I'm like getting all fidgety. I'm like, start being snappy with the kids and with Kaylee, you know what I mean? It's like, I think people need a purpose, you know what I mean? Definitely. And I think that has got, I think that's definitely one of the things that can help people in depression and anxiety and things like that is, you know, you're waking up in the morning and you've got something to aim at, you know, you do something. It's just like a small sense of achievement in, like, if you're making progress, it's like a little bit of a sense of achievement, and, you know, what is it, endorphins or whatever it's called, or, you know, those little peaks that you get in your mind when you do something positive. I think that's definitely something that for me personally anyway, it helps in terms of staying mentally strong, you know what I mean, and mentally sound.
I think direction and purpose is definitely like a big one. A lot of people don't know what theirs is. Do you know, for years I did stuff, participated in partying as a form of escapism. Do you know what I mean? Because I didn't know, I wasn't happy cutting hair and just doing what I was doing every single day. So once I had a clear direction, like that was like the day I decided I'm going to do this YouTube channel, I'll go around, travel, do barbering, etc. That was my purpose, and from then it's obviously evolved, but having that purpose helps me stay driven.
Yeah, definitely. Totally agree with you. You know, I think it's sad as well for a lot of people, like you say, who don't know where they want to go and what the direction is. But at the same time, I think a lot of people just gotta, you know, try new things as well. You know, I don't mean like everyone quit the job tomorrow if you're not happy, but, you know, try things on the side. You know what I mean? Do something different. I think, you know, like you were saying there, you're a bit of a party when you're younger, and so was I. For me, I was sort of wise enough to know that life weren't for me long term, you know what I mean? I had a great time, don't get me wrong, I've, you know, enjoyed myself, but I also know that, you know, it's not long term, it's counterproductive in terms of, you know, the type of person that I want to be, and I'm always trying to better myself and, you know, be a better person. So I think I was wise enough to know that I'll leave that behind, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think you need to. I mean, obviously, there's people who can function whilst, doing other things. I'm definitely not one of those people. Do you know what I mean? I have 2 beers now and it's ruined my day the next.
Yeah, it is hard. Hangovers don't have. Once you're at 30, mate, it's game over, innit?
I can imagine it's similar as well when you're cutting hair as well as, I mean, I have to talk to people, but you're also standing up building stuff and...
Yeah, it's I couldn't do that. I couldn't speak to people. Like,
I just don't do it anymore. It's not even worth the risk. Even like, I think 1 beer is my max on a work night now.
Yeah, I had 3 yesterday and I woke up with a bit of a headache this morning actually.
So you were late?
That's why I got the coffee down there. Yeah, that's why I was late. Yeah, I was early.
Sweet. So I think that wraps up for the most part everything I wanted to ask you. So if people want to find you, for now, you can tell them the Instagram. It might change soon, I guess.
Yeah,
but
yeah, it's camper. I think it's the handle is _camper_camper_. But if you type in camper, I'm sure that'll come up. Yeah, I'm on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, mainly the main 3 ones. The YouTube one, as I said before, I need to do a bit more. Yeah, get my finger out and start putting a bit more content out there. But yeah, if anyone wants a camper van, come and see me.
Sweet. So thanks for coming down. I appreciate it.
Mate.
Thank you.